welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I speak with AJ and we cover a bunch of quality topics. I'll list a few quickly. Number one, the victim mindset. Number two, optimizing your body's physiology. And number three, practical steps to improve yourself. So if you have any questions, any ideas you'd like me to speak about, shoot me an email at igliscuscapital@protonmail.com. So for anyone new, I essentially do a few types of episodes. I have solo episodes where I talk about something that is on my mind and it's pretty much me ranting. Then I have interviews like the one today where me and my guest speak about important topics that I think will be educational and useful to my younger self and therefore you guys. And what I want to introduce once I get some questions is the third style of episode will be me answering the questions and speaking on topics that the guest wanted to hear about. So if you enjoy, do me a favor, drop me a rating or a review on whatever platform you listen to and enjoy the conversation. I'm curious, what are some of the bigger or harder lessons that you learned from going through that period of being overweight for an extended period of time?
A very good question. Lots of discipline, resiliency, ownership, because I fell into the trap of being like, oh, it's everyone around me need to change and not treat me like crap because, there's nothing wrong with me. But then, the more I got bullied and everything, like that kind of external input made me realize, okay, the way they're treating me isn't right, but it's a common denominator in all the situations that I get into. Like I lost a bunch of weight, but then gained all of it back and more at a previous encounter or previous pursuit, because the amount of attention and just general decency from people freaked me out. I was like, this is very strange. I don't like this. And that just illuminated a lot of self-esteem and self-confidence and self-love issues, which I had to sort through. And thanks to that, I really found myself appreciating who I am and what I'm capable of and my dignity as a human being. So after I started losing weight again and knowing that I could do it and doing it successfully, that just built and reinforced the idea of discipline. And, I had to tell myself this, even though it might not be my fault for X, Y, and Z, I'm still going to act like it is my fault, essentially taking full ownership of the situation I'm in. And that has just translated into improvements in all parts of my life, with work, with relationships. And like, if something goes wrong, it's my fault. And how do I fix it? I try my best not to blame anyone else. I do my best to essentially strategize from a point of view that I'm in the wrong and how do I fix it? But yeah, also just willpower. Like, it is like a muscle. I feel like I can just the training sessions alone. Like, I used to gym for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that was overkill in so many aspects and regards, but that was what I thought was necessary. And maintaining that for almost 2 years really solidified my mind and really, well, I guess, yeah, some mind calluses, if you could put it like that. But yeah, but then I had to, obviously I'm an extreme person, because either I'm getting extremely obese and falling into that lifestyle completely, or I'm the opposite and I wake up at 4 a.m. and I gym for 2 hours every single day, and I just rate that. So balance as well. And this process really taught me the importance of balance and how to properly allocate priorities, and knowing how to stay mentally fit as well as physically fit. Yeah.
You remind me of the importance of not letting yourself get to those extremes. It's this slippery slope. If you're like, we'll use my religion for example. I'm a Christian, but at the same time I will study Buddha and the ancient philosophers of the past, because when people think that their way is the only way and are not open to others' opinions, perspectives, and just willing to have a friendly debate, even with someone of opposing views, you fall into this echo chamber that is like the positive or negative feedback loops. And that really doesn't do anyone any good. Like I firmly believe we're here to grow continuously. And it's beautiful that you've been able to learn and adapt throughout your journey. You mentioned going to the gym 7 days a week, 2 hours a day, which is extreme. But now it makes me wonder, what's your gym routine like nowadays? Did you learn from that extreme?
Oh, that is a great question. Yes, I gym 3 days a week, 3 to 4 days. My weight training is usually a split between, oh, sorry, is an upper body split, and I only gym for about 40 minutes now, and I do 20 minutes of cardio, and that is just my general routine at the moment.
Yeah, and I like that. Something I've heard from science is 1 hour is your optimal exercise period. And see, this I'm not 100% positive on, but from personal experience, I was never in bad shape. But the difference from last year's physique to this year's physique is monstrous. And the only changes I made were quite simple. I keep the intensity very high when I'm in the gym. And I haven't done cardio in a long time, because I've heard that cardio definitely burns calories. I'm not going to say something silly like it doesn't, but I feel when I do a very intense weight training workout, my metabolism is sped up just as much as doing cardio. And right now I'm in the aim of building muscle. So as long as I can keep that metabolism going, why not do more weight training? So what are you eating nowadays?
Good question. So I was doing keto for about a year and a half, but I've recently switched back to a carbohydrate-based diet. So it's very clean. I would call it like a Mediterranean diet almost. It's just some complex carbs, brown rice, sweet potatoes, stuff like that, but with just good protein sources, and like a bunch of vegetables. Like I'm really trying to keep it clean. I do have the occasional Burger King burger because that's delicious after a good workout. But other than that, that's like once a month. Generally, it's very clean. I stick to. I'm cutting down again just a bit. Like I'm on my final stretch towards my goal weight. So I'm currently eating about 1,800 to 2,000 calories. So it's just very clean. Yeah.
By by clean, are you referring that things like, before I ask this question, let me kind of give you my perception. I buy a lot of local eggs and I'm aiming to get locally farmed cows. I am of the belief that protein and animal sourced protein is very healthy for you as long as it's from the right sources. So the quick differentiation I would make is there's a huge difference between a cow that ate soy and GMO corn its entire life compared to a cow that was raised locally on a grass pasture, running free, eating simply grass its whole life. And
Mm.
what do you think about animal proteins? Do you refer to those as unclean?
Oh, no, no, I love animal proteins. And I also agree with you. I also get my meat from a grass-fed farm. Um, and it's kind of interesting because I wasn't necessarily under the belief that it made a big difference until I experimented with that and I got some proper grass-fed beef. And I felt a huge difference. Like I wasn't as tired anymore. After eating it, I didn't feel like I was dying for some reason. So like I realized there's a big difference, like, what they consume, because, ultimately we end up consuming what they consumed as well. So, but yeah, I'm a big advocate for animal protein, and the keto diet in general. I know a bunch of people are against that, but the research I've done, the studies I've done, my own personal experience, the clarity of mind, how just incredible you feel on keto. Honestly, like after I've gotten back on the carbohydrates, I'm a lot more tired and I have a lot of crashes and I have more cravings. But I know, just for muscle building purposes at this point, I just want that insulin response for the next 12 weeks until I'm done with my cutting cycle. But then I'm going to go back to a keto lifestyle just because that's what I prefer, and for no other reason.
Well, I like how you touched on that. It's something that's important, in my opinion, is sustainability. And I'm not a fan of the word diet because it kind of implies some sort of sacrifice is occurring. And I know that everyone's metabolism is different, everyone's body is different, but at the same time, once I started applying this simple principle of consuming my body weight in healthy protein every single day, and that's like before I eat anything else besides protein and fruit, I only consume my body weight in protein, and then I'll have fruit
Mm.
before I have carbohydrates. But what I think we're getting at right here is use trial and error and see what works for you. The only way to kind of figure out the systems and tools that you work with the best is to try new things and to be open considering these new things. So, and that at the same time, what do you think about consuming your body weight in protein? Is that something you make sure you do?
Oh yeah, I'm exactly like you. That's the first priority as well. I make sure, like, I don't care about my carbohydrates or fat content. I make sure that I eat my body weight in protein. Yeah.
Have you found that have you found that consuming protein keeps you full for longer?
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting because it depends on what kind of protein. For some reason, like obviously, beef and red meat has like a very high thermogenic effect, so it takes more calories to burn or to break itself down than other macronutrients. So I found that if I consume a large amount of meat in one setting, I do tend to get hungry in the moment, which is strange, but it's not like a craving. It's like I just feel like I could eat more and I should eat more, but um I know that's just the tricks. But then after a while, like it keeps me satiated and full for a very long time. So it's a bit of an interesting experience.
That is interesting. I try to split it up into quarters. I'm not sure if you've experimented with intermediate fasting, but I first of all, I think it really is helpful to just not be eating all the time. So I kind of make a 6 to 8 hour window of when I consume all my food. And so let's say I weigh probably 170 right now, 6 foot 170. And to get that 170 grams of protein, I split it into a few meals, like 45 grams early in the day. Then I'll have a protein shake in the middle of the day. I'm not huge on protein shakes, but one a day, I feel like it's okay. And
Mm.
within that protein shake, to get the amount of protein that I consume, I do something tricky that my previous self, my ego, when my friend introduced this idea to me, I said, whoa, that's crazy. So the bomb is I put 5 raw eggs in my protein shake, and I do not
Oh.
drink, I don't drink them all, how they are. I use a smoothie machine and it tastes so surprisingly good. I'd recommend it to anyone who is struggling getting their body weight in protein every single day. It's like this easy, I don't like the word hack because it implies that you have done something in a cheating manner, but it's a hack. So have as many raw eggs as you'd like in your protein shake, but and then one more meal later in the day. So I like how you mentioned when you consume a big meal of protein, it's like you still could eat more. And I get that same way. So I'm very specific in how much I eat or my serving sizes. What do you feel about serving sizes? Is that a big thing that you're paying attention to?
Mm, that's a good question. Yeah, like I do intermittent fast every day. So I also eat all my calories within a 6 hour window. Um, and I've done OMAD or one meal a day for a while as well, but that's just a bit too much for me. It kind of triggered some of my older well habits, I guess, eating a lot of food in one sitting,
Mm.
and it upped my cravings. So I try and eat about 2.5 meals a day. The half just being, like you said, kind of like a pre-workout smoothie or shake. I also do protein shakes once a day, and then having 2 meals before and after. Um, but yeah, serving sizes, I like to keep my, if I had an intense workout and I feel like, okay, this is kind of a big one, then I like to eat most of my calories after the workout in one meal, and I'll only have the protein shake beforehand. And I do, the creatine and all of that stuff beforehand as well. So, um, but yeah, I've never actually mixed raw eggs into my protein shakes before. Uh, like I used to love Rocky, and like that scene in Rocky where he, drinks his eggs every morning disgusted me every time. But I always wanted to try it, and I did, and I puked. It was disgusting. But yeah, I think like if you mix the eggs with like a chocolate protein shake, it'll probably taste like cake batter.
So there's a trick. A frozen banana as well with a little peanut butter, and it's surprising how
Ooh.
tasty it is. See, I don't want to make it seem like I'm Rocky, not at all. If I tried to sip those raw eggs, I would puke just like you did. So that's why I make it, put the right ingredients in. I use the smoothie machine because it makes it all pan out much easier. It's like something that ticks me off in today's society is, man, I'm not exactly sure how your living circumstances. I know there are a lot of countries that still have horrible living situations and environments, but people love to act as if they are not in control of their lives, their direction, their mindset. It seems as if our society, our culture has become so unappreciative of the luxuries that we have. Like, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like luckily South Africa, it's not like it's shown in the movies. It's not just, we're not living with lions and stuff. Like we, most of our high or richer areas, like it looks like New York City essentially. Like if you Google Melrose Arch or Johannesburg, the cities, like it's skyscrapers everywhere, civilization, like everything's good. It's a developed country in that sense. But I definitely agree. It's almost as if we have this preconceived notion of structure in the world and we have to adhere to it somehow. And if we don't, then we're not in control. Um, and I disagree with that because, like you said, it's mindset, it's the way you approach things. Like whatever you want, you can essentially go out and get it. But I'm a Christian as well, obviously, well, Catholic, but Christian. Um, and, I do adhere to the thing of like, God's will, and I have to, not have to, but I pray for the things I want. But it's not this, I believe in the idea of co-creation. If we go into it from a more religious perspective, it's, God created us to co-create with him and be with him. So you're essentially serving God and your purpose by creating, and you can't really create if you just conform to society's rules all the time. And if you have this idea that, you know, I'm not in control of anything, you're correct. Like, a bus can hit you like tomorrow, like you're not in control. But you are in control of what you think. And if you've read this great book by Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Meaning, just the way he approached uh, the gulag, not the gulags, the Holocaust camps. Like, he was stripped from everything, but his mindset and his belief, and he's just pure, like, he has control over how he reacts. And that's the thing he was kind of advocating. And the more you pause and realize that, you'll notice that that space between the action and your reaction becomes bigger and bigger, and then you can choose how to react in that situation. And that's taking ownership of your life. Like, it's also the idea of humility. Whatever happens to you, you just kind of, you can either revolt and kick back against it and go mad and be so outraged, or you can just take a deep breath and decide you're going to react in the most honorable way you can, and in the right way that aligns with your consciousness and your idea of what's right, and pursue from that. So that's where true control of your life lies. And if you apply that to everything else, you can lead the life you want, and you can go out and get the life you want. The opportunity is there. We're living in probably the best age, not probably, we're living in the best time in human history ever. So, whatever you think you can do, you can.
And it's treacherous. I have not been in a university for 4 years. I went to community college, but it seems from everything I've heard about universities from Jordan Peterson that they are teaching our generation to think that our world is going downhill, that things are not good. What you mentioned about this is the best time for humans ever. That is the truth. We have all this technology and these luxuries, these things that allow our life to be easier. Like me and you, we're having a beautiful conversation. We're able to spread a powerful message that was never before possible without technology and the internet, as also known as the luxuries. But what you touched on, the gap between your reaction and or the stimulus in your reaction. I like the word response better than reaction. I think reaction seems as if you're just simply reacting without thought. But between that area from the stimulant to your response, you can choose from and let me say, this definitely takes effort. It takes time and hard work to become aware of how your mind is wired and how your thought process and the habits that you have within the mind cycles, how they work. But when you choose to take control of your response, there's not many things we do control. Like you mentioned, that bus can hit you. But what can we control? Well, how we feel, what we do, what we say, and what we think. And of course, external things can affect that. But if you invest in yourself and take the time to build your awareness and your ability to have emotional intelligence when it comes to those 4 domains, you can do what you said and build a life by design. Create yourself into a person you admire. And that's probably the root message that I aim to share with everyone throughout my lifetime. I'm sure that will pivot and adjust and change, but people need to understand, because for me, until I came to this realization that the things that I put in are determining how I feel. I love the line, bullshit in, bullshit out. So we kind of have to figure out, what are we consuming and how is that making us feel, whether it's information, media, relationships, your environment, your food, how you're spending your time. There's so many things that once we investigate, you might come to the conclusion that you could be doing things a bit better. So then that leads me to wonder, what are some of the small changes, practical changes that you would suggest to someone struggling right now, whether it's with their mind or with their weight, struggling in any domains? Because I know you've made a huge journey in your life so far.
Yeah, great question. Well, first thing I recommend them do is read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. That book really helped me in a lot of ways. But in terms of small things you can change for literally any change you want to make, is make the break down the thing you want to accomplish to the smallest act on a single decision basis, um, or a single decision moment, essentially, and make that moment as easy as possible for you to carry out. So, for instance, let's say you want to lose 100 pounds. That's, your brain doesn't even know how to start comprehending that idea. Like, it's like 100 pounds, like, I don't know how to, what is that? So now you break it down. Okay, maybe I want to lose 20 pounds in this many months. That's better, but it's still not a concrete. So you go down less, like, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds or 100 pounds, whatever. What's the first thing that I have to do on a daily basis to make that thing happen? And it has to be as easy as possible. That would probably be something like putting your workout clothes out the night before. And when you wake up, it's there. And now it's easy to make that decision. You take away all the guesswork and the think work. You prepare for that one single decision. But even more than that, it's just, switching out your soda, your sugary soda for like a sugar-free soda. Like, don't just, take out soda completely because you like drinking that. So replace it with something with no sugar. Now you have a bit more calories to work with, and you're making small moves. So look at the big goal, the big thing, and figure out how you're going to make that happen with daily actions. Because ultimately, you're not just going to wake up one morning and you lost 100 pounds. I learned that the hard way. It's not how that works. You have to make small changes, and you have to evaluate your daily routine. And I'm not saying you should go at it in a militant way, like, oh, I need to wake up at 4 a.m. and do this and this and this. Like, no, just you know journal, whatever. One good way I would put it is, go have a date with yourself. Go to a restaurant, get yourself a meal, just you and yourself. You sit, you have a notepad, and you just have a conversation with yourself. You're like, who are you? Where are you going? What are your goals? What are your inspirations? What are your loves? What's your passion? Like, what do you like doing? And what are the things you want to change? And then once you have that, like, okay, we're going to work on this. And you have to realize that you're not your biggest enemy. It might feel like it at that moment because you're the one that got you in that situation, but taking full ownership and forgiving yourself for that is a very important part, because you won't make any significant or valuable change if you hate yourself. Had to learn that one the hard way as well. So realize that you're a useless human being, like we all are. Forgive yourself and see the value in who you are as a person, and write down these things and have a proper interview, and then set deliberate action. And you can work out a long-term plan if you're afraid of forgetting what your ultimate goal is. Like, have your big goal, like losing 100 pounds, on a piece of paper, on your mirror, whatever. But then just start slowly implementing these changes. And I know people don't like hearing that because, like, they want the results yesterday. But that's the beautiful thing about habits. You can change them. Your brain's plastic. All the research is there. Like, you can change your life. You just have to take it slow. The Like Jordan Peterson says, sit on your bed and ask yourself, what stupid things am I doing that are making my life worse that I can change right now? And like you said, that will flood your mind. And it does. It seriously does. You're like, oh, I can probably, not put my shoes on the desk because, like, I'm afraid of germs, whatever, like the case might be. Or I can't just throw my clothes in the corner. And then you pick it up and you make sure you implement this small system. Like, every time you go into a room, you put your clothes in your clothes basket instead of on the ground. And you fix these small things, but those small things, they snowball into bigger and more important things. And you realize, oh, like, okay, obviously I'm not spending enough time on what I need to be spending time on, and that's a very stupid thing. What am I doing in that time? Oh, I'm watching Netflix. Okay, I'm going to stop watching Netflix. I'm going to read a book for 10 minutes. Like, just make it something different. Just initiate some sort of change. Yeah, just that, like just the smallest thing that you can think of that you're doing wrong, you change that and do that on a daily basis. Yeah.
Very powerful. I love Jordan, and there's a reason Jordan Peterson's line of start with your room, clean up your room, make
Mm.
your make the living environment pretty or aesthetically clean, because it's not a coincidence if you start there and you realize, oh wow, my room doesn't look horrible anymore, it's actually kind of admirable. Then it makes you kind of wonder, well, could I do that with my mind? Maybe my physical body could become admirable. Shoo. And like you said, it starts, humans do want to change everything instantly, but that's not how you make sustainable changes. If you start off so intense in a manner that is not sustainable, you fall off, and therefore that
Mm.
intensity was irrelevant. But on the other hand, I, what's the science? Maybe a habit takes a month to make. Well, I multiply things. If you want to buy a car, you should be able to buy that car 10 times over. If you want to build a habit, you should build that habit 10 times over. So be patient with yourself. If you want to start, maybe it's smoking less, and right now you're smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Cigarettes are not good for you, but it's going to do you no good if you just quit for a week. You might as well just accept that it's going to be a slow process in quitting. But if you could just smoke 2 less cigarettes per day and per week, continue to raise that number, you're going to get the results. You need to do exactly what you said, my man. You just one step at a time, work with the simplest piece first. So besides changing simple things in your environment, what were some of the most important shifts you had to make to get yourself out of the weight gaining cycle? Did you stop buying certain foods? Tell me more about how you changed your environment around.
Mm. Well, first thing that's kind of interesting is I started sleeping on the ground. And you might be wondering, like, how is that relevant? It's actually quite relevant, and it's interesting. Sleeping on the ground is uncomfortable at first, very uncomfortable, but for some reason your body, like, it's like you're getting a full body massage every night, and it's great. I sleep like a baby on the ground now. But that also kind of motivated me to get up when I'm awake, because your body is kind of in pain now because it's been on the ground all night. But not a bad kind of a pain, just like oh, my body is awake. It's not in this fluffy little, pillowness, and you're like still asleep. Like, your body is up, and to get up is super easy. So I get up earlier, I get stuff done, and that just kind of translates into other things. Like, now I'm awake, I have time, and this kind of gives me time to breathe and realize, like, okay, this is what's happening, this is what I'm thinking, this is this is my day, this is kind of the stuff that's going to happen, what I can expect. So that was a big change that I made that really helped. But yeah, other than that, like, just, I know this isn't common sense because it wasn't from me, but it should be. It's like, don't keep foods you really enjoy in your house. Like, that's just a simple rule. Yeah, like, I guess we haven't really talked like about that, but like, I've lost 140 pounds. So the first thing I did was just, I called it the common sense diet. You just eliminate everything you shouldn't be eating. Like that pack of chips, skip on that for now. Don't buy chips again. If you know you're going to be snackish or you want to have something to eat, buy something like strawberries or a fruit or oranges or whatever. Just have that there for if you want to snack, you can, but don't have anything you shouldn't be eating in your house. Like, I'm not saying any food is bad. Like, you can enjoy chips and junk food now and again. It's not the end of the world. But if you're at a place where you're over 300 pounds and you really want to make a change, you're just going to torture yourself and your brain chemistry if you have these things accessible, because in the back of your mind, you're constantly going to be aware of them and it's going to drive you insane. Just remove that for now. Like, I'm not saying you're going to have to do this forever. I also freaked out at first. People tell me, or like, people are like, yeah, you should just never eat junk food ever again. I was like, then is this even worth it? Because you have to take into account where your mind is at that point. It loves this food because it's the only comfort you're getting. It's the reason, like, there is a deeper issue you have to identify behind why you got this big in the first place. And these foods and things, they're just the stuff that you use to self-soothe. So obviously you're going to struggle to cut that out. So don't stress about that. Just remove it for now. It's good. You're going to struggle a bit. You're going to have demons coming up, metaphysically or real. You decide. But then journal everything. Write down everything you're thinking. And identify that root problem that you have. It's there. You just have to dig. It's going to hurt a lot. You're going to have to descend into hell, unfortunately. But the beautiful thing about the descent is there's always you'll always come back up, especially if you're going into it with intention of finding the problem. But to get back on, small, like the things that helped me lose weight is also, I used to do this thing. If I was really snackish, I would blend ice with like a sugar-free syrup. So I just have like slush puppies every night if I was hungry, and I would eat like liters of of ice. My dentist wasn't very happy, but it helped me to get over the having a full stomach in some sense. But also intermittent fasting is great. Like, it's gonna suck for the first 2 weeks, but after that, like I forget to eat sometimes. Like, if I get busy at work or whatever, I can go until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon if I and I still don't realize I'm hungry, and it's great. But once you start eating, you activate everything, so then you'll get cravings and stuff. But intermittent fasting and black coffee. Black coffee is great. I know some people hate the taste of black coffee, but just give it like 2 weeks. You'll get used to the taste and you'll start craving it. It's great. And you can have as much of it as you want, before your heart pops, obviously. Stop before then. Speaking of, I have black coffee right here. Yeah. So, just find what works for you. But that's the beautiful thing. The base principles of all these things, like, they remain the same for everybody. You just have to get rid of some dopamine, because your brain is constantly searching for that, because you've just like bombarded your brain with dopamine. And if you watch pornography, stop. If you watch Netflix for 3 hours every night, stop. If you browse your phone for like 6 hours a day in every off chance you get, stop doing that. But don't just stop doing that. It's not a punishment. Replace it with something valuable. You can still get dopamine, but get it from a healthy source, like a book, or talking to people, or going out, or having experiences, going out for dinner with friends. Or if you don't have friends and you're really in that kind of situation, that's fine. Just go to a public place like a gym or a mall and talk to the staff. Like, that was something I did for a long time. As a homeschooler, my social skills weren't up to, they weren't what they were supposed to be. And I was obese. Like, I was really having a difficult time socially. So I would go to my gym and I would chat to all the staff members, all the cleaning members. I would learn about their lives. I would memorize their kids' names. And the crazy thing is, they kind of oblige to talk to you because you're there and they're kind of, working there. Again, you're the customer. So that's great practice if you struggle with social skills. And then after that, you can move into the quote unquote real world and start talking to people in these places. And you'll realize, oh, they're just like the other people. We're all just people, and there's nothing scary about that. But, rewire your brain, essentially. If you can take anything from this podcast, it's stop watching pornography. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This was AJ Kutsia, and we'll see you next week. All right. No, I'm kidding.
Really, the artificial dopamine sources are absolutely destructive. And this is something that I've recently began to love, learning about the physiology of our bodies. How something you mentioned, you were doing the syrup with the ice because your body was so programmed to love sugar from your habits or whatever you were consuming. It's like that syrup and ice, it's much better than eating processed foods. So I want to hit on a few of the principles that people, and before I get into this, people don't like being told what to do, but if you are listening and you know changes need to be made, we're not telling you not to do things. We're sharing what's changed our lives with you so you can improve your own life, because just
Oh yeah.
human nature is to not like to be told what to do. So
Mm.
here's a few things with the diet, and then we'll go into the dopamine sources. If you cannot pronounce the names on the nutritional labels, if there's scientific chemicals that you literally don't know how to pronounce simply, it shouldn't be in your body. If it has more than 5 to 10 ingredients and your grandma didn't know what it was 25, 50 years ago, it shouldn't be in your body. And I'm not saying you can't enjoy some Oreos or some artificially made things, but it should be rare, not once a week, maybe once a month. And
Mm.
I don't want to act as if that's the golden rules, but really, if you want a body that you can look into the mirror and be proud of, you have to start somewhere. So just consume foods that are natural, foods that come from the ground or from animals, and you're on the right path. And then with the artificial dopamine sources, dopamine is that molecule of our pursuit. And when you're getting artificial dopamine, you're overloading your body with the dopamine from porn or from scrolling or from emotionally eating. It will derail any motivation for you to create. What we're doing right now in this conversation, what you're doing with your mission to share your personal experience about losing weight, that takes dopamine. And you have that dopamine because you're conscious of the other areas that could drain it. So it's a hard realization to come to, that something that makes you feel good, like porn, it's such an instant gratification. It's not good for you. It is not good for your long-term health. It's not good for your sexual relationships because you're brainwashing yourself to be a spectator of two people having sex. Unless you're only watching point of view stuff, and even to that, it's still horrible for your dopamine and motivation circuits. So really, I need anyone and everyone to understand that there are deep chemical physiology things that are working behind the scenes. And if you haven't heard of Andrew Huberman, check him out. This man is a Stanford professor sharing so much wisdom for free on his podcast. And that's, we can go back into how we live in such a luxurious society. We can listen to people who are so intelligent for free and choose to learn and grow every day. So, what are some of your favorite podcasts? Do you listen to podcasts?
Oh yes, I do. Your favorite podcasts? Well, obviously, Jocko Willink, love that man. The Jordan Peterson podcast. I used to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, but not as much anymore. And then the Father Michael Schmidt, or from Ascension Presents. He's a Catholic priest who does, like, he's reading the whole Bible throughout the year on this podcast, and also just that podcast episode is very good. And then Matt Fradd, his podcast, I can't remember the name right now, but he's also just like talking about the Catholic conversational topics and stuff. I really enjoy that. But yeah, interesting thing about podcasts and your podcast, I think that will be on the list as well. There we go. um, but yeah, like interesting, like I kind of stopped listening to podcasts as much as I did because I realized it was becoming an escape once again. You know, like podcasts are very good if you're starting out with self-improvement and all of that, because you know, I believe that you need information to be creative, right? It's a, I don't believe in writer's block. If I think I have writer's block, it's like, no, I don't have enough information or research, because it's about connections and it's about being a polymath. Anyway, so listening to podcasts, but you have to consume it in the right way. But if you're using it again to avoid taking action, then you're just falling into more dopamine traps, unfortunately. So when I do listen to a podcast, I try and implement one thing that I've learned from that. So that's a really good guideline in the content you consume. How can I take one actionable step from this piece of content? And if the answer is I can't, then you don't watch it. Simple as that. So yeah, like I've stopped listening to a lot of podcasts, but I still dive into the occasional podcast when I really want to, and I feel like it would be beneficial to my self-improvement, but that's the only time I do. Yeah.
I like that because you can fall into not taking action. So what do you do on a daily basis to make sure that you're taking action? I love to use time blocks myself. Do you use time blocks?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know if you're familiar with Benjamin Franklin's daily routine, but I try and adhere to something similar to that. But I do work in 60-minute sprints. So Benjamin Franklin, I think he worked for like 3 hours, and then he had a break for an hour, and then 3 more hours, and then break. Like I do 60 minutes, and then I take a 15-minute break, or a 5 to 15-minute break, depending on how I feel. Not necessarily just, I'll go have a coffee or go talk to a friend or whatever, just getting away from that. But yeah, it's the Pomodoro technique, but just a bit of a longer one, because my attention has gone up drastically since I started using the technique a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And that's the beauty to that, because I started with the 25 minutes, 5 minutes off. And now if I want to, I can do a 90-minute session, or sometimes an hour session, sometimes 75 minutes. But there's a reason so many people do that. So if you're working, you want to be working. And when you're not working, you want to be fully not working, not, stuck in this middle area of, you're on a walk, you're not supposed to be working, but you're still stressing about what needs to get done. That occurs when you don't time block efficiently. And it makes me understand how important being intentional, and not just having a plan about what you're going to do. Like, we should be flexible and robust, but at the same time, when you commit to something, you gotta keep the promises you make with yourself. And so I know you went through a lot of hard situations and hard times, just like everyone goes through. You wouldn't reverse those, right? If you had the choice to eradicate your hard past, I'm sure you would still stick with it. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah, 100%. It's the reason who I am today. Like, I would even give myself some more suffering if I could.
Pain, on the other side of pain, is the person that you're supposed to be. And it's hard for people to swallow that. It's definitely challenging when you're in that pain. But I'm sure when you're working, after you finish a day's work, do you feel exhausted, or do you feel more content? Like, okay, you earned the right to relax now, or do you feel exhausted?
Oh yeah, I like that. No, definitely. It used to be exhausted because I wasn't efficient in my time blocking and my priorities, but I've since started building a second brain. I don't know if you know anything about building a second brain, the note-taking system and all that kind of stuff.
Tell me a
But
bit
after I've
about that.
oh yeah, there's a great book that got released recently. I think his name is Tiago or something like that, the author. But it's literally how to build a second brain. So you use software like Notion or Obsidian, and you take notes throughout the day, but it's interactive notes. So after you have an idea, all the proper ideas, you want to take all the information you consume and then translate it through your own lens, and then store that information, and then make connections to all the information. So you have literally everything you learn and find interesting at your fingertips. So, when you wake up in the morning and all these worries and concerns and stuff just floods your mind, and now you're stressed out and you want to work on your project, but you have to work, you get to your job, you open up your emails, you're just bombarded by all this information, and it's just a mess. You have no time, you're just stressing. With this note-taking system, if you have an idea or something to work on, you can just take down a quick note on your phone, and then later on you store it into your second brain. But then also with content you consume, if you find something valuable, like a line from a book, you store that, and you over time you slowly build up like a huge database of knowledge and information that you basically um, translated into something meaningful to you. And you can go through that, like at the end of the day, I go through my notes and I sort them into the proper categories. And then in the morning, I know like, oh, I have an idea for this thing. So if I'm in the shower and I have an idea for something, I just plop that down. I put in the tag as to where it should go in my note-taking system. And I don't have to stress about that. I know I'm not going to lose that thought or the idea. It's there. I can work on it later. So it just frees up a lot of worry and mental space. And after I started doing that, I start feeling a lot more content because I'm like at ease. I know like my knowledge base, my second brain is in the cloud, and everything I've ever thought and done and found valuable is there. I can access it at any time. So after working for a long, hard day, I'm content, and I feel like, yes, I did deserve this break or this off time, and I can relax fully because I know for a fact that even if I did wake up with amnesia the next morning, everything I know is in the cloud, and I can use that.
That's powerful. That note-taking system is just so helpful because, our memories are good, but you don't want to only rely on the memory. And it makes me wonder, what are some of your favorite ways to take time and reflect upon your day to get clear on what you've learned from the day or the week?
So I do this thing called brain dumps. So in the morning, if I'm having a particularly difficult morning, I just sit down and I write for 15 minutes. I don't care what it is. I can literally start off by writing. I don't know what to write, but you just keep writing. And then like everything just kind of starts pouring out. And then if I find anything valuable, I store some of it in my second brain, or I just discard it. I have a section in my second brain called the void, which I put all the stuff I think that's unimportant, but I'll just review them systematically like once a week. And if I find them truly useless, I delete them and they're no longer there. But at the end of the night, I review my day. But I do take notes throughout the day. So like, for instance, let's just say I'm having a good conversation and something sticks out to me. I will like, okay, cool. Just grab my phone real quick, type that into my note-taking app, and like I'll I sort through all of those small little notes and bits of pieces of information. At the end of the day, I take like 15 to 20 minutes. It doesn't take you a long time to just go throughout, sort it out, connect it to everything it needs to be connected at, organize, categorize, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's literally like a 20 to 30-minute routine every day, and it makes a huge difference.
Have you noticed that your brain is much clearer when you take the time to do that brain dump?
Oh yeah, like the brain dump is amazing because people think you sleep and you process information, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, but why do you still wake up with all these things? Like, your brain has processed this information, correct, but now it's providing you with solutions or any relevant information to set problems that you're facing. So now you have all of these issues. So like, first thing you wake up in the morning, that's the best time to do a brain dump because your subconscious mind has been working on all of that the whole night. So just get it out onto paper so you can look at it from a fresh point of view. Organize them, categorize them into some important stuff, useless stuff. And if they're relevant to your day, put that in your to-do list if you have to. But yeah, after that, you're sure that that like that feeling of like, oh, I'm forgetting something, I'm not doing something, that's just gone. And having that gone at all times is incredibly liberating.
I've found like such a similar experience when I just take the time to write. I don't have that nagging subconscious voice. It's like I've cleared out my mind. And of course, it's always running, but I'm sure you might have seen images where it starts like before writing, the mind's all confused, and then after you write, it shows the little mental model and the arrow, and then you write and everything's kind of like a nice line piece of paper. And that's exactly what expressing your thoughts, doing a brain dump does for you. So I want to urge any listeners to just be open to trying new things. Like, I played football in high school. I was not the person to ever consider myself as a intellectual, as someone who reads and writes and meditates and enjoys nature. But we can leave off on this sort of topic that labels are so destructive to humans in general, because I labeled myself for years as an athlete, and I thought that athletes didn't have to read, athletes didn't do all these other things. Well, it turns out that's literally the opposite of the truth. Any high level human being, whether they're an artist, a race car driver, a pro football player, someone who is a professional coach and helps many people impact their lives. Anyone who works at a high level does things like writing and reading and meditating and pays attention to what they put in to their mind and their body. So, AJ, if you want to leave off with any important point, you could do that now, and also let them know where the listeners should go if they want to learn more about you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Most important point, honestly, take it easy. Like, I know it's overwhelming to get into this space of self-improvement and wanting to change everything about yourself and not being happy or content where you are. Just take a deep breath. You'll be okay, man. Like, or woman. There's enough time. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And the very fact that you see that right now and you want to make a change, good. Like, you're in the right place at the right time and you have time. And the fact that you want to change is incredible, and you will change and you can change. You just have to put in the small amount of work, but forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes. We all do. The failure is not an indication of failure. Like, falling down gives you an opportunity to get up and to learn from your mistakes. You only truly fail if you stop trying. So forgive yourself for every fall and get up as quickly as you can and keep going and moving towards that goal of yours. Whatever it is, it's important. You know it's important, and I know you can do it. I've done it. Justin has done it. We've all done it. Well, we still do it when we try, and we still fall and we still make mistakes, but we keep going. It's not about your intensity, it's about the consistency. So just show up every day. If it's only for 2 minutes, hell, if it's only for 10 seconds, good. That's all you need, but just keep the momentum going. Yeah, but also if you want to check out more about me, I'm on Twitter. My account is @AJCoetzee. That's difficult for American listeners. It's AJCOETZEE on Twitter. But yeah.
Thank you, man. It was a blast having this conversation.
It was incredible. And thank you so much for inviting me on. Like, I really had a good time and I really needed this. It was fantastic talking to you.